I think about Scott all the time. I moved to LA and started Wax right around the time he came here and started Stone Temple Pilots, but they weren't Stone Temple Pilots. They were Mighty Joe Young. That was the original name of the band. They changed it when they got signed. And I loved Scott. We did shows with them when we were kind of both coming up. They got signed at the same time we did. In fact, the guy at Atlantic Records that signed them, Tom Caroline, he did demos with Wax. And I remember, we went into the studio and he's like, hey, we did the thing that every new band does. They're like, hey, we're going to put you in the studio for an evening. And instead of, he says, record 2 songs. What do? We're going to record an album. We try to record like 10 songs. They sound terrible. Of course, Atlantic passes on us. But shortly after that, we ended up getting signed to Virgin. And Scott and Stone Temple Pilots got signed at the same time to Atlantic Records. But they aren't the band, and Scott's not that person that we all know he eventually, turned into, and the career that he had. At this point, he's still, I'm not joking, flannel. He used to wear like a 7-Up jacket, Levi's, maybe like bleached hair. And this one time I'm flying home, I want to say for like Thanksgiving or possibly Christmas, and we were both at the same airport. He was going somewhere for the holidays, and so was I. And we sat down at the airport bar and just started talking to one another like, oh my gosh, dude, can you believe it? Like, we're both signed. And he's like, I know. And he's saying, why he's excited about it, what they're doing in this, recording, demoing, and how he's excited about who's producing the record. And we're just having all those conversations as 2 guys that just signed deals to record companies and all the dreams you have, but you don't know what's going to happen. But when Scott's telling me what's going on, he's telling me what they're doing this. He's kind of keeping it tight to the vest though. He's keeping it. Then he asks me, he says, hey, Joe, like, how do you think it's going to go for you guys? And I answered honestly, like, I don't know, man. I hope we got the songs. I hope that we can make the right record. We're talking to different producers. And my answer was, it was honest, and I was being straight with him that I don't know how it's going to turn out, man. I don't know. I actually, to be honest with you, Scott, I'm nervous, man. Like, I've never even imagined I'd have this shot, let alone make records and being on Virgin Records. And this is insane. And he's looking at me. And then I ask him, how do you think it's going to go for you guys? And I remember, without even missing a beat, there was no thinking, there was no hesitation. He took a sip off of a Heineken and he looked me straight in the eye and he says, we're going to be fucking huge. We finished our conversation. I went my way, he went his way. And the next time I saw him, he was now the Scott Weiland that we all knew. They had just blown up. They had gotten put into the rocket ship of rock and roll. I mean, he should have been in an astronaut suit when I saw him. I mean, it was a time in music that they just exploded. And the next time I ran into him, we had been dropped. We were already dropped. It was over. And I remember we're at Cole Rehearsal Studios and, Stone Temple Pilots is there and they're in the major big room, and we're in this little room and we're going out on this tour. I mean, I was trying to hold my band Wax together. We'd been dropped from Virgin. We made a record for Caroline. It was done. And back then when you got dropped, people you were just used goods. No one wanted anything to do with you. It'd be like a baseball player, or it'd be like you're a basketball player and you're trying to become a pro and they're like, how many knee surgeries have you had? Well, I've had 6. Like, no one wanted anything to do with you. Yeah, I want to be a pitcher. My shoulder's been operated on 5 times. Never gonna happen. So we're at Cole and I remember I'm holding my band Wax together at this point by duct tape. Now this is like 3-4 years later. This is all the MTV for Scott. This is, and this is the bad and good of Scott. And we're finished practicing. I know they're there, but he's not gonna, I haven't seen him in 4 years. Like he's not gonna, I'm not gonna go down and say hi. I'm not even thinking about him. I'm loading our van to go out on the road on this terrible tour it was insane, but we're still gonna go out on the road. I had just released the Wax record on my own. I got the masters back from Virgin, which is a whole other story, but I decided I'm just gonna put it out myself. I got these CDs, like boxes of 30. I'm gonna sell them on the road. My band at that point is, like I said, we're holding it together by duct tape. And as I'm loading the van in the darkness of Cole rehearsal studios, I hear a voice, Joe. I'm like, where the hell's, and Joesib, over here. And I'm like, what? And in between two cars, crouched down is Scott Weiland. And I'm like, and I just keep standing. I'm like, what's up, Scott? And he's like, hey. And so now I crouch down. I'm like, what? Yeah, what's going on, man? And we're both crouched down between these two cars. And he's going, dude, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good, man. What's been up with you? I mean, you guys, and he's like, I know, it's crazy. And, he's being so cool, but he's just, and when looking back on it, he's just crouched down because at that part, at that point, he's a superstar. There's fans in front of Cole. So he's trying to talk to me and just like, I want to hang with you, but I don't want to be recognized, which is hard to believe that he was at that point and still made his way over to talk to me. And as we're sitting there, I have these CDs in my hand. And I remember he goes, we talk, we catch up, and he goes, what's that? And I go, oh, it's my band. And he goes, yeah. And he knew. He goes, yeah, what happened with Virgin? I go, like, dude, they dropped us the week before Thanksgiving. And he's like, oh. He's all, what's that? And I go, I'm going to put the record out on my own. And I give him one, and I'll never forget this. He flips it over and he looks at it. He goes, is that your label? And I go, yeah. I go, dude, label. It's like me and my best friend. I guess it's a label. He goes, is this your record company? And I go, yeah. And his whole demeanor changed. He goes, that is so fucking cool, dude. Because you're doing it, you're going to put it out yourself? And I go, well, yeah. I go, well, but the records are just in my car, dude. It's not like distribution. I mean, we're going out on the road right now. I don't know what's going to happen. And he just goes, can I have one? And I go, yeah. And he goes, can I have another one? And I go, dude, you can have a box of them if you want, Scott. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. He's like, okay. And I gave him about 5 copies of 13 Unlucky Numbers by Wax. And he goes, all right, man. And we kind of hugged it out. And he stood up and he went his way and I went my way. I went out on that tour and the band was at the end. I mean, it was so bad with Wax at that point that we did a show in Little Rock, Arkansas at some punk rock house. I was the punker of the band. The other guys in the band, they were great musicians. They hadn't signed on to what I thought we were supposed to do. We just did Lollapalooza 2 years ago. We were on 120 Minutes. Dude, we're at this punk rock house, and I remember, I'll never forget it. It is so cold. We're sleeping inside, me and Dave, our bass player, and the other 2 dudes are in the van turning it on and off all night to stay warm, to stay alive, basically. And me and the bass player inside this punk rock house where we just played, and there's a fireplace, and the only firewood that they had at this punk house was the couches. So all night long, the punkers just go, hey, can you get up? We'd get up. They'd push a little bit more of the couch we were sleeping on in the fireplace. I thought it was rad. Our bass player's like, dude, I'm done. I'm over this. This is like 6 months after I had seen Scott. And I'm like, all that's going through my head is, this band's over. There's these guys, and I get it. Like, I surrendered to it. This isn't normal, sleeping on couches that are on fire. That's not normal. Back then, you would call home at gas stations. There's no cell phones. We're at a gas station, and everyone is in the van, just, they're smoking. We're just kind of hanging out, and everyone's kind of calling home to check in with everybody. And all of a sudden, our like guitar player comes over. He's like, dude. And I'm like, what? He's like, dude, Scott Weiland was on KROQ last night. Biggest station in the world at the time. And radio, I know, hard to believe. And he goes, dude, did you give him like a copy of our record? I go, yeah, when I saw him like months ago. He's all, dude, he was on Loveline, he was on, Furious 9 or whatever, but like, dude, that he went on and instead of playing Stone Temple Pilots, he just kept playing Wax. And we're all like, what? Then our drummer, dude, he gets off his phone call, bro, They're playing our song on the radio on KROQ. I'm like, what? Next thing I call home. Yep, Scott was in there all night. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, dude, he took over the station. He started playing Wax. He played it like more than once. We woke up this morning. They're playing the song California now on KROQ. And everyone is like, what is going on? I call our attorney, Jeffrey Light at the time. He's like, good morning, Joe. Looks like you guys are back in the game. So when it got added to KROQ, we're not signed anymore. And now we're on like KROQ plus Live 105 in San Francisco, The End in Seattle. It just took off like wildfire. We're driving back to California after we had just left. No record company, no money, band over. And because Scott played our record on KROQ, we are taking calls now from every major label again.